Reverse De La Riva stuff today, just kind of building on what we did the other day. So first of all, when we're playing from Reverse De La Riva, guys, we're going to look to try and think about spiraling our leg around our partner's thigh, and we're trying to think about a few things out of the gate, okay? Ultimately, I think I want to try and connect my feet to my partner before I start to go making grips. There are some exceptions in general, but most of the time you want to think about, like, first things first, like, make your position solid, okay? Like, what you don't want to do is have him come in and just like blow through your legs while you try to grab onto his foot. Now you're in a really losing position, okay? So a couple of things here. We're going to come out and we're going to look to try and bring my knee into my chest, because like even if I just hug my own knee here, if Ben tries to split squat and pass through me here, it's like as long as my knee and elbow are together, my knee and shoulder are together, it's very, very hard for him to pass into this space. So when this knee comes away from my chest, this gives him winning chances to just drop in here, and now he's winning all the inside position. So from here, I might start by hugging my own leg, getting ready to frame, and kind of keeping this ball structure. Once I have my position solid, now from here, we can go into our connections, okay? So from here, we're gonna look to think about coming in and grabbing the bottom of my partner's foot here. You can come out and grab the ankle as well, but by grabbing the sole of his foot, I really give myself an ability to lift this foot up in the air, which will be very useful in a moment. So from here, my first attack we're gonna run is just simply extending into my partner's hip, and then from here, I'm just gonna look to pop up and then clip his foot for a nice little tripod sweep. So from here, hipping up, clipping, coming up, and covering like so, okay? My expectation is he's gonna try to get up. So when he goes to get up, he can't really get up on this hip because I'm holding this leg and keeping it suspended. So if he tries to turn away from me, now from here, climb up into a double leg or try and climb up to rear body lock, try and get to our score. Okay, so really simple to start with. Just coming out from our Reverse De La Riva, making sure our posture's solid, kind of keeping everything here. I'm gonna look to push the hip away. If I see him getting up into a vertical posture, I pop up, clip his foot, and I come up like so. If he goes to get up off the bottom, I climb to his hip and put him down just like so. Cool, start with that. And that was pretty straightforward. So what we're gonna look at doing now is gonna look at using a knee lever type action to offset our partner's position, okay? So when he's pressuring in, this is where this sole of the foot grips really shines. So understand for Kiss of the Dragon, when you try to spin through your partner's legs, the heavier this leg is, the harder it is to spin. Like, so if we took a solid example here, like a lot of time people, when they want to spin, use this grip here where they scoop the ankle. And there's nothing like practically wrong with this, other than that it's a bit like easy for him to read my intention. So if he drops into a split squat and he kind of makes his hip heavy, here it's pretty hard to spin through where all the weight is on this leg, okay? Contrasting this, if I pull him and kind of push him away, now I can start to enable my spin. Okay, but like I said, this works good, except when I scoop this ankle, it's like pretty telling, right? It's like I'm really telling him my intentions. So by having the sole of the partner's foot here, my grip is a bit more ambiguous, a bit hard to read my intention, okay? So from here, I'm gonna come out and take this sole of the foot grip again, and what I wanna look to do in this position is knee lever in this direction, okay? My intention, like if I can knock him over, then sick. Like if I whip my knees and I point my knee into his knee and he falls over, okay, mad, but it's probably not gonna happen, all right? My expectation actually is that when I go to do this, as I tip him, he steps and he comes back towards me, and I look to lift his foot up off the floor, okay? So if you're standing in a split squat, pressure in, good. So from here, I'm gonna go tip, he comes back towards me, and I lift this foot. Once I lift the foot, you can see I'm already kind of getting out behind him. I can pummel my 2 feet, get to his 2 hips, kick him out, and climb his back just like so. Okay, so having this understanding of like shifting your partner's weight with the knee lever will greatly facilitate your ability to spin through your partner's legs and get in on the offensive. So here he's pressuring into me. I've got my cross shoulder post, everything else set up. I'm gonna come in, grab the sole of my partner's foot. I'm gonna hit my knee lever, and the harder he comes back in towards me to try and crush me back down, he's like, how dare you off balance me? Boom, and I lift the foot up. Once you're up here, honestly, if you're a relative beginner, if you can just suspend the foot, like all your wildest dreams will come true, basically, right? Like this will help you to spin. So from here, take a cross grip on the back of your partner's hamstring, whatever you can kind of access, spin through, and ideally, in the air, you pummel this foot in as your second crab hook. Now we access the hips, kick him out, put him down for a back take, just like that. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, so I think like an interesting thing here to look at is like the role of the person on top here. So if Ben's down. So like when we're thinking about this position, you need to think about the mindset of the person on top, right? So they're in here in their split squat and they're putting pressure on, okay? I'm seeing a few people in the groups, like obviously if you're trying to learn this, it's gonna be tricky, but if you're here and he goes to do this off balance and he tips me over and I go like this, and I stand here, now the Kiss of the Dragon is not gonna fly nearly as well, right? So like you kind of have to have intention to come back to your split squat, okay? Although it's worth mentioning, when you have this reaction, now that I'm up tall, the tripod sweep is really easy, all right? So you'll oftentimes, when you start to use this live, if you come back down, so I'm here, if he combines his knee lever, and I stand up tall now, he's just going to immediately clip, put me out of position, and then come up. Nice. Okay, so just kind of understand this for your position. So if you're trying to practice the Kiss the Dragon style movement, make sure you're coming back into this like low split squat position, because that will enable your partner to shift your weight and make this leg light, and it'll help them to spin. Okay, let's give it a try. A attack that I basically was able to get going like heaps yesterday in the positional sparring class is this Kiss of the Tiger attack, which is basically Kiss of the Dragon, except instead of trying to play for a back take, you play for a leg entry, okay? And you can use this to get knee bar, you can enter into saddle. A lot of time in the pursuit of knee bar, you end in 50-50. So if you understand the way that this can play, it's a really, really useful tool when you're trying to enter into your partner's legs. So from Kiss of the Dragon, I essentially run the same basic attack. So I'm gonna go knee lever left, elevate right, and I get to here. What I'm looking to do is make this attachment here, right on the front of my partner's shin. And from here, I'm gonna look to invert myself and line my right foot up right with his tailbone. Okay, optional if you knock him over from here. From here now, I'm going to think about squaring my hips up and connecting right into his hip. Now, if you're here, we can line up and cinch ourselves directly into this knee bar for a nice finish here. Now, depending on how I position my legs, I'll either end in knee bar or saddle, generally speaking. So if my leg is slightly across the waist here, I'll end more in a saddle shape, where now we're going to think about coming in and playing for our inside heel hook. It will kind of depend on what posture he takes as we turn. So for again. So we're coming in, hitting our Kiss of the Dragon attempt, lifting, coming to the far leg, spinning through here. Now I'm seeing I'm going to end more in saddle, so I'll ideally keep this leg behind me, so I have to use this to climb through and expose the inside heel hook. So all this stuff, the adjustments themselves will happen fast to get like the best play in the initiative, but ultimately if you can kind of monitor the secondary leg and rotate through with them, you can get some pretty good winning chances. Now sometimes when you go to play for this attempt, you'll end in a situation where my knee lever, I spin, I go for this knee bar, and I kind of get put here, he sits to his hip, and I kind of bring this across my body here like so. If Ben rotates belly down, now we kind of end either in like outside ashy or 50-50, depending where we are, so just be ready to follow and align yourself appropriately, basically, okay? So it's not like wrong if that happens, it'll just be a case of like slightly missing the angle for your knee bar, and that's gonna like put you in a situation where you have to be ready to follow and chase the leg just like that. Cool? Let's give it a try.
So we're going to go through and have a bit of a look at some live action examples. So in this roll with Ruby, I start off and I hit a Kiss of the Dragon back take and then have a little battle on the way to the back take here. So I'm framing, setting my position, let's go. Opening out, I use this cross lat frame a lot, and I use the knee lever to help rock myself through, expose the back, get my second hook, attach to the hips, and sit her down. Once we're here, I start to use this little step on the front of her shin here, you can see, and I kind of use this with the long bottom hook here, and I use the crab ride hook to sit her hips down. Once I have the bottom hook, I start to immediately look to get diagonal control. She's trying to bridge into me, so I'm focusing on like keeping her down my body here, and she's got a bit of an awkward posture, but once we're here, I start to establish the seatbelt. I can start to now extend her upper body away from her lower body. And she starts to try to turn to her knee, so I do a little hip escape and just kind of pull on her shoulder to break her back down to her hip. That lets me get my top hook back in, and that's our win. So, nice job from Ruby there. Left me hanging. How dare you. Coming in against Gerald. When I played against Gerald, I noticed he had an open knee position, which kind of lended itself nicely to putting a butterfly hook in. So you'll notice I use this cross lat frame, and I use this to offset his position, and then I eventually look to do like a sort of like a forward shift, I believe. So my cross lat, kind of keeping the distance, and I think I managed to scoop his leg when he steps, that's right, and I just basically pull myself directly into X guard, and I put him on his hands here, and from here I start to think about stretching him out. I get a good bite on his knee, and I just shovel my hips back underneath me for a nice clean sweep with our X guard. Nice job, bro. Next up, we have Hamish. Now, I actually kind of do Hamish dirty here. Hamish is a very talented young purple belt we have at the gym, but basically knee lever, Kiss the Tiger, and I pretty much snag him right in and get right into this knee bar. So I hit this little pass off just to keep myself aligned with the front of his knee to make my job nice and easy. And then to add insult to injury, I pretty much do the same thing to Tim here. Right, knee lever, Kiss the Tiger. I scoop through, I have to follow the angle a bit more, and notice I put my hips up and around. But then basically once I get myself lined up, belly down on the knee bar, that's pretty much all she wrote. Next one coming against Nicholas. When we entered the position, I noticed Nicholas didn't really drop into the split squat very much. Like he stayed quite tall out of the gate. This kind of enabled me to pretty much get started and straight away attack a tripod sweep, which made my life easy. And that was easy peasy. So that was just committing hate crimes on the elderly. Nicholas is around 700 years old, so he deserves it, but it's all good. So here with young Luke, here we get a similar entry to before. I go kiss the tiger, and I spin upside down, and you'll notice this is what I was talking about, following him the leg. So I managed to draw him in, I split the legs, keeping him isolated, and I go to hit this pass off, but he rotates his knee really well. So from here I have to switch off into this interesting cross Achilles I've been playing with to get my finish just like that. But yeah, that was a slick example of like having to chase my partner down when they try to defend. Now here we get into a bit of tomfoolery, but I think it'll be good to show you guys. So notice here, when I try to knee lever Hamish, he opens his hip and kind of lets his right knee rest on the floor. This basically stops my ability to hit all my connections here. But now, of course, like I've nerfed his mobility and I managed to get this 2-on-1 and start attacking a Choi bar. He does a really good job of scooping into my leg here. And this kind of starts off this chain of events where he's trying to disallow me from playing K-guard and Reverse De La Riva and all the things that I want to play in this demonstration. But we have a good scramble, so I think it's instructive. Here he's using a cross scoop and he's trying to use his left shin in the back of my knee to keep me nerfed. Basically in this position, there's a host of threats here, but by being in this like crowded posture, he's really threatening to just like blast into north-south out of this position. You see him burrowing his head in. So I'm just kind of actively monitoring those problems as it's kind of unfolding in front of me. Here we kind of get a bit of a pause here. He's got this like arm weave type position to try and stop me from getting to a knee shield or to try to move him and keep him in front of me. Basically for like a smaller guy, this is like classic small guy passing where if you don't allow me to like clamp my legs around you and keep playing in these flanking positions, it's very, very awkward to get anything going on. But here, 2-on-1 the far arm and keep the distance. And I use this wrist grip to snag a Choi bar here. Here I feel like I had it, honestly, but in the interest of being a good training partner, I didn't put too much gas on it. So then Hamish gets out of this and he goes immediately into a thigh drag, which is really nice. So then from here, tying up the hands. Again, he's a slippery little bastard. And you'll notice I go to this arm drag grip, just to kind of, again, anchor him to me. It's hard for him to try to create like big loose passing opportunities when I have this arm drag grip. But yeah. Here, he actually tried to like go over my head, but this enabled me to get another bite on this arm. And again, I get him to lock out, but it's a bit awkward here. I can't remember if this is the one I finish. Oh, yes, right. And then I take him over my right hip for the finish. So a lot of the time when you do this Choi bar, you just got to be able to understand how to follow the arm with your pressure. And then, yeah, you can find your way through. So here again with Ruby, in this position, Ruby immediately shifts her leg back. So he doesn't allow me to spin underneath her. And she makes this really interesting post. So she posts her right hand as a cross hip. You'll actually see her hand poke through underneath my ribs here. So I'm trying to use this cross lat to try and spin, but she's got ideas to try and punch immediately into a pass. So here I managed to snag her leg up, get into outside ashi, and I start to attack the heel knee bar. So she rotates to avoid this. And from here, she kind of stays on her inside hip for too long. This enables me to pass her into an inside heel hook. And again, trying to be a good training partner, especially with a young lady, not trying to blow anything through this, just trying to do everything with control. And she kind of extends into this, which allows me to line myself up for a heel knee bar and kind of a different angle. So kind of a bit of a weird one with the following of the leg, but ultimately when you're trying to be a good training partner, that's what you got to do sometimes. So coming out against Derwin here. Derwin's very talented. He's come across really recently from one of the gyms towards the city. And he's got a lot of cool games. So he comes out and he immediately takes this very crowding style posture on his left side, keeping his head low, making it difficult. So I decide to low leg and play like this De La Riva style positioning. Here I try to play for this like little tripod sweep style position, but he was wise to it. It was very good. So here I'm kind of playing back to like a Keymaster style structure where my right leg is on the outside. And a lot of the time I'll use this to go back to a De La Riva, but you'll notice with the De La Riva I keep his original grip. So my right hand's still on the ankle. This allows me to push the chest away and I'm threatening to pummel my feet underneath his knee for a crab ride entry. But then ultimately, if you stay on your hip for too long, if I can get my feet underneath me, you can get up for a sweep there. So a really pretty interesting little structure there to play when you like Reverse De La Riva. So again, back with Gerald. Coming out to keep this frame, and I use my Kiss of the Tiger to enter, Kiss of the Dragon to get out behind him. And then as you go to get behind him, he kind of monitors my feet very nicely. So I end up having to follow and kind of chain into a leg entry. So I'll use my left leg as a little reaper there to help me reposition my right foot. And now in 50-50. And when I was with Gerald here, I noticed that he was really kind of keeping his knee open with his right leg. And in the interest, I mean, obviously, I'm a bit bigger than Gerald and he's a bit of an older gentleman. So trying not to put him in any too kind of jeopardizing positions, especially given he's wearing a knee brace. So here I kind of use this bar structure underneath his leg, which I really like from 50-50. And I'm starting to try and tip him, and I kind of see this big opportunity to take him out to my left-hand side, which I do. But then in the interest of keeping in one piece, I generally recommend in this position, if you want to fight the sweep, you have to really try to turn to the open side here. If I'm in this position and I explosively got up from my position, a lot of time you can get your knee caught there. So if you're playing in 50-50, you always want to try to get up to the open side, which is what I'm basically explaining to Gerald here. You always want to try and fight to the open side, even though it's like less high percentage for sweep prevention. It's very important for your knee safety. So here with Raptor, Raptor does a great job of scooping my leg out of the gate, and I threatened to try to spin through this, but when you spin through, you have to be mindful of the knee bar. You can technically try to step over me, so you'll notice I kind of dip my knee across his chest to try and stop him from doing that, and this kind of forces him to post his hand. Now once I'm playing here, I'm trying to kind of look at a few little things. You'll see when I get upside down here, actually, I've got an interesting grip on his leg. So what I'm really trying to play for in this position is actually try and spin through underneath him and enter into this like really nasty heel hook setup actually. It's hard to see, but basically like I'm trying to take my right leg out and thread it back around, end up giving up on it. But anyway, now in this position, I do an interesting thing that Gordon was telling me about, which is to frame the inside of the knee. So you'll notice that Raptor tries to blast a knee cut through, and he pretty much can't do it. And when he squares back up to me, it allows me to off balance him forward. This allows me to go back to kiss the tiger and then snag this leg, passing underneath my arm and getting into an eventual knee bar here. So a lot of cool examples there. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.